Hello everybody, this is Margin of Error. We've got 15 days left until the autumn newsletter update, so we're going to take this time to go over Isomne, go over a character breakdown, go over some facts that we know about Isomne, some stuff that may not be true anymore, so keep that in mind. Some of the stuff may not be true, but I believe that most of this stuff still holds true today, so let's go over some facts we know about Isomne. This is going to be unscripted, an unscripted ramble that's loosely edited, so join me as we go over it. So basically, to give the simplest rundown on Isomne, just to start off with, she is a princess who turns into a ghost if she falls asleep because she dies, because she has a lot of health problems. She is addicted to coffee, or maybe not addicted, but she drinks coffee a lot, to stay awake and alive. She roams the margin in a ghost form, and she loves numbers, she loves chairs, and her favorite color is white, her favorite number is 1, and she sees the numbers 1 and 5 in red apparently. She sees them in specific colors, I don't know why, but that is something we know about her. Yeah, she's French, maybe. She has a French sounding name, so maybe she's French. Yeah, that's some basic stuff, So, I'm going to go over my notes here. They're in no particular order and may be completely out of order. Some stuff that relates to another thing in the notes may come before or after, but whatever. So yeah, that's the basic gist of it. She likes coffee, numbers, chairs, all that sort of stuff. I can't really tell you why. She believes chairs can be used for pretty much everything, almost everything, every single purpose. It's a great weapon, it's a great thing to stand on, it's a great tool to mash up potatoes, who knows. She uses it for everything. I can't tell you why. Starting off with, she's infatuated with time. Isomne has a very interesting, let's go over this. She has a very interesting relationship with time. She, of course, is part of the Time Traveler side quest, which was a stretch goal in the Kickstarter that we all saw. That's her umbrella over there. It was a stretch goal for $150,373, which is Isomne's name, but numberfied, because, well, when her name was Iskai, her number was 15341. And it's still going on that trend where her name is transformed into numbers. But she has a very interesting relationship with time. I'm getting some of this info from Wonderlust, which was an OCT. I don't know much about it, so there's something going on. So she may be able to perceive time differently. I don't know how that would work. I have a bunch of ideas on how Isomne could perceive time differently that I have written down here. I've tried to theorize about this. So yeah, she might be able to perceive time differently. She might be a time traveler, and maybe time traveling with Isomne, she somehow does that through the margin. Now, I don't know how. It's pretty complicated to try and think about all the different ways that time travel could be happening through the margin, because Night Margin said it herself. The margin's time isn't really linear or really stable, and I don't know how we could really think of it like that. Could it go forwards and backwards? Could you meet someone from the future in the margin, because the margin could have literally any point in time to just traverse everything and everyone can meet together? Well, only if you could access the margin, and through the margin you're able to actually find another person. So pretty complicated stuff. So she may be able to time travel through that, and how exactly she would, I don't really know, and I don't know if it could really count as time travel through the margin. I don't know how you would really explain it. Really, all I could tell you right now is I believe that it's non-linear time, so it could jump around in literally at any time in history. I don't know how you would really explain that, and there's a bunch of asterisks involved. There's a bunch of stuff that would have to be explained and whatever, but that's one of my theories. I can't really tell you. I don't know how differently she could perceive time. Maybe she could see the future. I don't know how that would work. She could see into the past. I don't know. I don't really know how to really think of it. It's pretty interesting, and we don't have much information on it. Another one of my crazy ass theories about how she's a time traveler is that she may be functionally immortal. I don't really know. In the way that she doesn't age while she's awake. I don't know. I don't know where I got this theory from. How Isomne is immortal. I don't know how true this is. Like, she's immortal, but every time she goes to sleep, her lifespan depletes in that sort of way. So, like, she could still die eventually. She just can't sleep. And so she's trying to stay awake for as long as she can. Maybe. I don't know. And there's this whole thing with the Winlock Institute forcing her to stay awake. They want her to stay awake. For what purpose? We don't know. To study her while she's awake? I don't think so. Maybe they want to do something with her in terms of her relationship with time, manipulate it, or see how she perceives time. I don't really know. It's very complicated. This stuff's real complicated, and only this stuff is only gonna get explained when the game comes out, and that's further down the line. So we don't really know for now. But yeah, she's infatuated with time. She likes clocks. Her entire thing is clocks and hourglasses, and there's this one image of her in the margin in her ghost form. There's a red hourglass with sand in it, red sand in the hourglass. I don't know how it relates to anything, but we have that. So she used to be a princess from a kingdom that we don't really know. In old lore, she was a princess of a kingdom that was like a windmill city. I don't understand it. So like we have that. We also got some information about her dad, her mom, and her brother. We've got names for 3 of them for some reason. Arrington is her dad, Baranthus is her mom, and Amarin is her brother. I don't know if they're going to play any role in the story, or if they still exist, but they existed at one point, and we have names, so there you go. And she also had a pet dog named Moriarty. And at some point, there was an accident for Isomne. What kind of accident? We don't know. We don't know the accident. What could have happened? At some point, she had a head injury that she died from, and afterwards, she got revived. Probably by another moth in the same way that Lang was revived by Nil. Who this moth is, we don't really know. We do have pictures of a diamond-spotted moth in comparison with a circle-spotted moth, which is probably Nil. We don't know where this diamond-spotted moth is. And we've also seen a picture of Isomne with diamond-spotted wings standing next to Ling, who has circle-spotted wings. So we have that. And I believe that a part of her character is that she has memory issues. And this is probably because she died and got revived. Now, to the extent of memory loss, we don't really know. I don't know if she knows much about her past. She could remember her family and her noble descent or royalty or, you know, her upbringing. But after she died, it looks like she might have trouble remembering things. This goes back to Wanderlust, but we've seen that Isomne has trouble remembering things that have just happened. She tends to zone out, and it's hard for her to remember things. And this could be because, you know, she has a head injury, and this causes her to not be able to remember things right. And it's just very hard for her to remember things in general that may have just happened or happened earlier. But this stuff would happen after she got her head injury, so she may still be able to independently still remember everything that happened before the head injury, but stuff afterwards, with her damaged brain and body, she probably has a very hard time remembering things, and this is most likely a side effect of being revived after dying to a head injury. And there's stuff that we could go over concerning memories. There's this theory that Avi Avery had, a person who I talked to earlier, just before I started recording this. They talked about how there's this theory by Plato about souls having memories tied to them. So we could go into this whole thing about Imogen and how Imogen ties into all this, because so there might be a theory that clones don't have prior memories prior to the cloning. You could make an exact clone of somebody, but they wouldn't necessarily hold the same memories, so they would most likely become like an entirely new person. So Isomne, when she died, it's somehow she gets cloned after she is revived. I don't know how. We really know nothing about this. So her body would be cloned, but it couldn't hold any of the memories because it doesn't share the same soul as her. and we've seen a diagram of bodies versus souls that clones don't really have a soul, or maybe they don't. They could, probably. It's left intentionally vague with a question mark in the drawing, so we don't really know. So they probably do have souls in some capacity, but it doesn't look like they would hold any of the shared soul that they would have with the person that they were cloned from. So you get, most likely, an entirely new person who has an entirely different personality, but is made up of the same genetic information. So this stuff is really confusing. And while we're at it, we're talking about Imogen. She used to go by the name 15. We really know nothing about her. She's obsessed with justice, and she probably hates Isomne's guts. For what reason, we don't really know, but it's probably because they were cloned from them. And I don't know, maybe clones don't like the original person that they came from. We don't really know. It's so confusing. And this is going back to Wanderlust, but there's another thing about I have no idea if this is even canon to Margin itself, because Wanderlust is an entirely new thing, entirely different thing. So it may be futile to try and link stuff and tidbits that we got from that to Margin. But anyways, from here we know that not many people know that Isomne is a princess and her past, so that might be something worth thinking about. And there is a mention of secret agents. Now, who are these secret agents? We have no idea. They could probably be from the Winlock Institute. They could be the other organization that is not necessarily the Winlock Institute, but a group of different people that I could try and talk about. I think those people are Imogen, maybe that evil scientist guy, maybe Alita. I have no idea. It's confusing as hell. I can't really make heads or tails of it, but we have secret agents that would try to keep Isomne in captivity in some sort of way. This could be the Winlock Institute, keeping her there to study her against her will. I have no idea. It would probably be the Winlock Institute instead of the other organizations. So I'm going to say it right now that it might be the Winlock Institute, and they might not be the most ethical group in terms of that. But really, it's all up in the air. We don't really know. So yeah, she probably doesn't have a lot of freedom, because we know that Isomne doesn't go outside a lot, and she has no friends. She's living a pretty sheltered life in the Winlock Institute apparently, but at least she can spend her days watching the clock tick back and forth and count all the seconds till eternity. But yeah, she's not allowed to fall asleep because she will turn into a ghost, a wandering spirit, in other words. And that might be through the Margin, probably, who knows. I thought of maybe that Isomne could manifest in a spiritual form in the waking world as a ghost. I have no idea if that can really be the case. It could be. Maybe she could use that to possess other people because she would be a wandering soul. And we know that possession can happen in Margin through the diagram before. And I expect that's the case for Nil and Ling, which we could get into it for another day. But I think Isomne could potentially try to find another host's body to take over and live through them. But we don't really know if that's the case. So, yeah. Going back to her head injury, there's a scar underneath Isomne's hat, which has like a big old scar from how she died. So, we know that she ties that hat to her head with a red ribbon and ties it on tight because she probably doesn't want people to be looking at her scar and going, oh my god, look at that, ew! You know, so that's a neat tidbit. She has a scar on her head from the head trauma. And I don't really know if I have much else to say about Isomne, because we know quite a bit, but not everything, you know? So we don't know what she'll do in the game. We don't know to what extent that her powers can manifest as a wandering spirit or a time traveler. There's a lot up in the air. And I wouldn't be able to tell you what's up with the Journey to Nowhere pictures, because we've seen a bunch of those, a bunch of iterations. Why Isomne would be a ghost form in her pre-accident ghost form with Moriarty and an umbrella sailing through the water, we don't know. We know nothing. She might have a tie to windmills and pinwheels and stuff. We have no idea. No idea at all. So yeah, I have no idea what else to say. Though I don't know how to really fit this into the video, but I have thought about how Ling differentiates from Isomne, where Ling has a pretty healthy body, all things considered. It's just so there was this theory about how the brain part of the body is what keeps memories from being a little bit fuzzy from before Link died. And I was thinking like he was the best of both worlds because he had a healthy body and he wasn't on the brink of imminent death like how Isomne would be, because she has very bad health problems out the gate. And Imogen, who was a byproduct of her revival, in my theory, she has no soul, so she doesn't resemble anything of the person that was before the accident. And I was gonna talk about like how Link's head was broken, but his body was fine. Isomne has, or he was mostly fine, but Isomne, despite having a soul that may relatively be intact, her body is hindering herself, and she's not able to remember much through the brain that was broken, kind of broken. And Isomne, she's weird. Alright, she's just weird. I don't really know what to say. That was just me rambling about stuff I know about Isomne. If you liked it, thanks. She likes writing down numbers. I think I've gone over everything that could be said. Here's a neat fact. She is Night Margin's oldest OC that's still around, I'm pretty sure. Older than Alita by a month, apparently. So that's like October 2004. So that's a pretty damn long time ago. So that's pretty interesting. Also, apparently in this chart, Alita is protective towards Isomne. Interesting. We have this art that's captioned, "It's not your time yet," with the strings pulling Isomne back to aliveness, apparently. Maybe. Who knows? That's probably what could happen to Ling too. Strings would bring him back to life. Who are pulling the strings, we don't really know. We have seen Raiden, or whatever her name is pronounced. She's knitting strings, so maybe that could be her. Who knows? I don't know if necessarily the moths are controlling the strings. I think they could manipulate them in some sort of way. I think Nil could have done that for Ling and bring him back to life. Maybe all moths could do it. I know at least it would probably mean that Isomne's moth also has that ability to make strings and bring other people back to life if she wanted to, or if that moth wanted to. I don't know who Isomne's moth is. I don't really know. But yeah, we have that. And then you would have to wonder why that moth would have revived Isomne in the first place. Why? What was the goal? What was the gain? Hell if I know. At least we know with Nil that he's trying to gain access to the human world through Ling, which isn't really working out for him. So it makes you wonder why anyone would revive Isomne. Why any moth would do that. I guess that'll only be found out on a journey no one knows but Isomne. So we'll never know. Oh yeah, this image definitely tells you that Isomne has weird time powers when she's a ghost. So this most likely means that she can travel through time, through the margin as a ghost. And she could go... I don't know how time would work in the margin. We have no idea. It could be non-linear. She could go to at any point in time, to anyone's dream world at any time, at any point of their life. She could probably do that. If she could time travel, she could appear in the past in someone's dream and then appear like 5 years later and like, hey, I remember you in my dream from like 5 years ago, and you told me the future and stuff like that. Who the fuck knows? Well, I don't. And this is probably like the Winlock Institute's like seeing big dollar signs on this, or at least the Winlock Institute's like, this is interesting, this is crazy, this challenges everything we've ever known about the world. With someone with time traveling powers who could manipulate the fabric of reality by going back in time and telling people shit that they don't know yet? There's so many potential ramifications and consequences from all this sort of stuff. We have no idea. It's insane. It's insane to think about. And yet we know nothing so far. We still know nothing. What is there to say? So we have no idea what Isomne could do as a ghost, what she could set in motion with the questions that come with time travel and the potential, because, you know, time travel, when you think about it. You have like so many potentials about alternate timelines and paradoxes, like the grandfather paradox or the bootstrap paradox. Maybe we'll get a bootstrap paradox in Margin. Maybe that's what the Mobius strips are referring to. I doubt it. It's probably a really dumb connection, but maybe we could get a bootstrap paradox. Maybe we could get a time loop. Who the fuck knows? There's so much in the air for Margin right now. The sky is the limit for what we could imagine this game to be and what the story to tell us. Like, nothing is off the table. So yeah, we don't really know. This was meant to be like a simple breakdown of Isomne's character, but I'm having like an existential crisis between souls and clones and the potential for rewriting history through the Margin, and how Isomne could potentially influence other people's biomes by going back in time, and how we meet with Isomne could definitely be pretty interesting. Maybe we could see like Isomne through many stages of her life, multiple stages of her life. Like, for instance, we could meet Isomne from the present day that we know, or we could meet a younger Isomne who, you know, fresh from the accident that killed her. We could meet her ghost, because Isomne definitely could have stayed awake for like more than 5 years. So we could maybe meet Isomne at multiple stages of her life. I don't know, I'm spitballing here. I'm throwing out every single idea that's coming to my mind right now, because, well, this is just a ramble video, you know? I do not know. I know nothing about Isomne. She's weird. Everything's weird. Everything is strange. I know nothing. I have no information. I don't know. And there's also the theory that Isomne is the one doing the ARG itself with the notes. The notes. That could probably, that's most likely Isomne. She might be obsessed with the infinity symbols. I don't really know. Maybe that was another character, but it could have been reintroduced into Isomne's character. I have no idea. She writes down numbers a lot, so maybe that's her. And they're in specific colors too. Some specific numbers are in red and others are not. I don't know. Or, well, I guess it looks like it's only the infinity symbol that's red, but I don't know. There's so many questions to be had about Isomne. Thank you for watching. I have no idea what else to say about her. I went on a long tangent. I thought I was gonna end the video a lot earlier, but I didn't. There's just so many questions to ask about Margin of the Strange, and to ask about the many characters that are in this game, and how they tie into the story that will unfold, that we have no idea what could even lie within it. We don't know. There's so many questions. Anyways, there might be a margin of error on my theories about Isomne relating to the ARG, or Isomne time traveling through the Margin as a ghost, and we see multiple stages of her, because time isn't linear in the Margin, and we could meet her at any point of her life, and she could meet us at any point of our lives. If she really wanted to, maybe. I don't know. Maybe she couldn't control it. Maybe she does that through the hourglass that we saw in that one picture. Who knows? And there may be a margin of error on the theories about the souls and they holding their memories, but the bodies don't. There's just so much. There's just so much up in the air. Thank you for watching. I'll see you for the autumn update. Goodbye.